my pleasure to be telling a story tonight about Tweendom, and it's kind of a Tweendom medley. So, I can barely remember my Tweendom years, but I will tell you it was not easy. I was diagnosed with scoliosis in the 6th grade, and so we didn't know what that was, and they just kind of check out your spine, see if it's crooked or not, if you stand up straight, and had to go to a bunch of doctors. And they said, you have scoliosis, you have to wear a back brace. So I wore a back brace for 6 years of my life, maybe even a little longer because they changed it a couple times. One went all the way up the middle and throughout the back, and there's like a big girdle around the front. And, this is like a common thing among teenagers. And I went to school here in Central Florida. So Forest City, Teague, and Lake Brantley. Anybody from that area? Seminole County? Anyways, I really didn't think it was a big deal. It was just something that came along. So I tried out for cheerleading. I didn't realize that probably wasn't the best thing to do, cartwheels with a back brace, jumping up and down. But I did. I tried out, and I didn't make it, but it was okay. Because I also didn't have to do PE. I got to hang out in the library and, help the teachers with the Dewey Decimal System at Teague. So there's always, the class is always full. And, it was just something that I was grateful that I didn't have to have surgery. So, yes, I wore a back brace, but I didn't have to have like a metal stick put in my back for the rest of my life. So if I look uncomfortable sometimes, it's because I wore this brace for all these years. So I had to, move like this. And, that was just part of the Tweendom. So, of course, I had a sister, and how many people here have siblings? Okay. Now, so I want to know, did they get you in trouble? Because my sister got me in a lot of trouble, even though I wasn't as flexible as she, with my back brace and not making it in cheerleading. She was the one that was a little bit of a tomboy, and she liked to sneak out of the house, and she was pretty good at it. Has anyone snuck out of their house when they were a tween? Yeah. Well, I did once. And it wasn't very far, so I came back. But she was a master. She had stuffed animals and put them in the bed, and so it looked like she was in there. So one time she snuck out, but she said, you need to help me. And as the big sister, I thought, this isn't a great idea, because what if something happens? I don't want her to get hurt. And she's like, no, I'll be fine, but help me out the window, and I said, okay, but if you get caught, I know nothing about this. I didn't know you were doing this. I had nothing to do with it. She's like, okay. So I help her push her out the window. That was a little bit high off the ground, so she had a little bit of a drop. And she was really just going to see her girlfriend around the block. And her girlfriend apparently didn't know she was coming. They didn't plan this in advance. So she went around the block, and she tried to wake up her girlfriend by throwing rocks at the window. Dink, dink. And her girlfriend Kelly's dad heard the rocks, but didn't know what it was, so thought there was a burglar, and ended up in the backyard with my sister, Leanne, my younger sister. And this gentleman had a gun pointed at her and realized it was, his daughter's friend. And they were just talking. They weren't going out to do anything bad. It was just an adventure. Let's sneak out of the house. So he calls my dad. Ring, ring, Mr. Brennan, I have your daughter here. And my dad thought it was a prank, so he hangs up on him. He says, click. No, my daughter's here. So he calls back, and he says, Mr. Brennan, I have your daughter, Leanne. He's like, I don't know who this is. And he went to check to make sure she was there, but didn't want to wake her up. So he went to look in the room, and sure enough, she was there because she had her stuffed animals in the bed, and it looked like she was there. So then he was like, okay, I'm just going to take her home. So she's in his car, her friend Kelly's dad's car, driving home. And there's this little song back in the day called I Think I'm in Trouble. And that was on the radio playing on her way home. And she was really, really scared. So she is coming home. They get to the door. Ding dong. My dad gets to the door, and there's his daughter, who he thought was in the bed, shocked as he was. You know, he was like, what are you doing here? And apparently this gentleman was telling the truth. So the first thing she says is, Barbara helped me out. She helped me out. So they wake me up, and who gets in trouble? I do. And that is my Tweendom story.